So, my first question, what are one of the most important messages that you try to fulfill in your work?
Oh man. Before I start, I just want to say thank you so much, Cheyenne, for putting this together. Because not only am I excited to be here with y'all, but I'm really excited to be part of this panel and to learn from you all. I'm going to be taking notes on the little gems of inspiration that I get from this, so I'm really happy to be here. So I'm not exactly sure how to answer that question, the messages I fulfill in my work, but I would like to say that teaching really informs my artistry, and I never really think about that. Usually I'm just complaining about how tired I am from teaching, but I think just the poetry that I hear from my students, the words that the metaphors they use, sharing some of the raps that I write with my students, it really gives me a lot of context for the raps that I write. So I want my music to be something that young folks can relate to, but at the same time I want to push boundaries and push them to another plateau with my music. So I would definitely say my education or my educatorness contributes to my music. So yeah.
I would say that the main message that I try to fulfill and will continue to try to fulfill in my music is that I'm an MC, not a female MC. Yes. And I'm not a poet. Well, I am a poet, but like when I step into the spot and it's a hip hop spot, don't call me a poet. Don't say, do you sing, sis? Sure I do, yes, but I'm here to spit bars. Equally with the men, probably better than the men, but you know, I'm here to MC like everybody else. So, you know, all the gender stratification in hip hop, I'm here to eradicate that.
Yes. That's what's up. Yeah, thank you so much, you guys. I'm super honored to be here too. So thank you guys. I think one of the messages that I try to put out there with my music is kind of that, well, I practice Buddhism, so we call it this, but it could be across different spiritualities, but kind of that everyone has a Buddha nature, like everyone has this higher nature that we can tap into in the spiritual realm. And a lot of times we are stuck in the material with the messages that are put out there. So like, I feel like a lot of us try to put out that counter narrative to what is being put to our kids, you know, and to the youth that Maddie was talking about, and just offer that there's another way to blossom, there's another way to express yourself and to grow into whatever it is that you want to be. So yeah, that's part of the message of what I do.
How did it skip a person? Okay, all right. I'll echo everybody else and say thank you, Cheyenne, for putting this together and reaching out to us in particular, because there's other MCs in the Bay and other women in the Bay that are artists, and so I really appreciate you for picking us. The question was, what message do I try to put in my music and or poetry or anything that I do? I would say that everything I do intertwines with each other, and so I always say, like, what comes from the heart reaches the heart, and what I mean by that is just to be authentic. Anytime you're your authentic self, people can resonate with that. Even if you know what I'm saying, you somebody coming from San Ramon and integrating into East Oakland culture, if you are yourself, people can accept that. And so no matter what I do, if it's bars, if it's theater or poetry or whatever, I try to speak to the authenticism in young people, elder people, and so folks can tap into who they are, because a lot of hip hop now is very gimmicky and very much so pushing you to be something else other than uplifting who you are. People always want to acknowledge you for who you used to be versus who you're continuously growing into being. So I hope that anything I do has that message.
Sure. Hey there. In general, I think there are a lot of different messages in my music because being a human being, there are different things that I go through or groups that I belong to or I don't belong to that I want to speak on. But I would say that the main aim of my music or the message of my music is of healing and like of waking up and feeling and being alive. So it's kind of like, if what I say makes you feel angry because you want me to shut up, good, feel that. You need to feel that, you know, or if what I say makes you feel like there's hope, good, you know. So it's more just like about like waking people up and like getting them to feel or inspiring feeling, and then definitely inspiring also healing and suggestions for that. Yeah.
Y'all gonna clap after every response?
I was just about to say.
Oh, just the
Take
first
it
one?
in,
Okay.
take it
Yeah,
in.
just
First
the first
round.
one. Yeah, just the
Okay,
first one.
all right. Thank you again, and everything that Jazz said was on point, so thanks for choosing us. So for me, I would have to say my message, it depends on the song. Sometimes my message is about, you know, getting a boo thing or losing a boo thing or why am I having a boo thing. So it can be as simple as that or as complex as my critique of society. But usually it's just about how I'm feeling in the moment and just like doing you, whatever that is, whatever it is you want to talk about in the moment, just go for it. So that's usually my message.
Just the first round.
Oh, so you want us to answer every single question?
Um,
Or just this one first round?
yeah, just this one first
okay,
round,
cool.
and then you can answer whichever question you want to ask.
Okay,
after
I'm
that.
open to whatever. I'm here for you
Okay.
tonight, girl.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. These wonderful ladies, I may have worked with them or shared a stage or somehow we've crossed paths. And I've only been in Oakland for about 3.5 years now. I'm originally from San Francisco, so this is my new home. But as far as the message, I just want to repeat what Talia said. You know, track number 3 is going to sound different from track number 10. You know, project 1 is going to sound really different from project 3. But I think what's dangerous is that a lot of female MCs feel like they have to push out a singular message that is a counterpoint or that is adjacent to a man's message or just trying to mimic the qualities of what it takes to be a male MC, right? Because nobody ever says male MC. But I think that we get caught up because sometimes we feel like regardless of what that message is, it's not good enough or it's not loud enough or it's not sexy enough or it's not smart enough. So I think when I first started, I was really militant. Like, yeah, I'm going to tell all these motherfuckers I'm going to fucking go up there and they're going to fucking love me and whatever. But when you get up there, a lot of times it's reactionary, right? You're just reacting to what you perceive people expect from you. And as you kind of lean into it and learn about your music and learn about being on the mic and being an artist and hopefully you commit yourself as long as these ladies have, then you just learn that it's about however you're feeling at that moment is valid no matter what. So it's really just trying to get that message across, you know, authentically and true to yourself and not trying to please anybody else. So really the message is your message is good enough, especially for a lot of the women artists that are here today.
Totally respect that. Yeah, that was lovely. So the next 5 questions that I will ask you, you can answer them all or you can answer whatever you feel you would like to answer. You can skip a question if you like. So the next question is, what is your creative writing process and how do you choose who to collaborate with and whose beats you use for your lyrics? Anybody want to go first?
You know what? I sent that question to you, so I'm going to answer it because I thought it would be good to know.
This question was...
Sorry, I'm feeding her lines, y'all.
It was in compliments of Rocky Rivera. It's a very lovely question that I
Once a
felt I should
journalist,
ask.
always a journalist. I just wanted to know myself because, you know, I feel like a majority of the writing I do is not like in the studio listening to beats with hella people in there, like drinking and stuff. Like that's what it looks like on TV. And really, I started as like in my room with my journal, rapping very quietly and just hoping that someday I'd be, you know, confident enough to be on stage. And so it's interesting because I was watching Nicki Minaj's documentary and she said something like that. She said, you know, I don't go in the studio to stay there till 5 in the morning, and I go home, I'm comfortable, I need to be where I'm at, where there's not a lot of pressure to deliver. And so the reason why I sent that question is because I was a little bit curious for the rest of the panel, like, how do you decide who you collab with? Is it because they asked you on Twitter? Or is it because they saw you one time? Because it's almost like, hi, I'm an artist, do you want to collab? It's not even like, you don't even get a chance to build. So for myself, I collab with Miss Talia for this song called Swagger Jackin'.
That song is so dope.
On the Popular mixtape, which is available for free. But it was, when she sent me that verse, like, I almost cried because I was like, oh my gosh, she just sung me on my own damn track. Like, I love her for that. I was like, this is why I asked her to collab with me, because she was freaking amazing. And I like to only collab with people that I actually respect and love and appreciate, because I feel like when they give that verse back to me, that it shows. And so I don't have any collabs if you look at my albums, you know, and I don't just make beats with anybody. You really got to have a connection, and I want to really urge young artists to not use that as a networking tool, because hip-hop is not moving in that direction no more. We don't need 4 verses. We don't need 72 people on this compilation. We want to hear what you got to say. So for myself, I wanted to know how the other ladies kind of fielded those requests, because a lot of times fellas be like, what's up? Can we collab? Can we get in the studio? You cute.
On
blah, blah,
Instagram.
blah, blah, blah.
It's so annoying.
So I mean, I would love to ask, since, you know, my girl done put it on the panel first. I didn't know. I thought it was going to be at the end. But I would like to ask the other ladies, like, how do you decide, how do you get the vibe that this is the perfect canvas for you to write a song for?
Okay, well, studying the artist, and, you know, if they're consistent with the type of, like, vibe. Like, do I feel like our sound will go well together? Do I feel like they will be free enough to do whatever it is that their spirit calls them to do, and not have to force a particular message or have to force a particular, whatever it is that they think I want to hear or they think people want to hear, just be authentic on the track. And so I guess similarly, I haven't collaborated with a lot of people. My process is I'm usually alone. I'm very, very shy. So I like to be alone when I am. I know a lot of people are kind of like surprised by that, I guess. I don't know why, but I am shy. So I'm alone in my studio, and just kind of freestyle it. I used to write a lot, and now I've gotten a little more comfortable just freestyling whatever comes off the top of my head, and so I'll piece verses together. So I'll be recording, and I'll freestyle or whatever comes off the top of my head, and I'll just keep going until it kind of like starts sounding not up to my standard, and then I'll stop, and then I'll go again, and then I'll stop, and then I'll go again, and then I'll just piece everything together. So that's one of my processes. Sometimes I'll write, but I'm so critical that I don't even like what I write, and it takes forever to write something. So I'll just trust that first draft. And then the beat question, whose beats do I like? Well, I started making my own beats, so I like my own beats. Okay, thank you. Claps. Who else's production do I? Calvin Harris, for anyone who knows Calvin Harris, his production is really good. Ak5, who's a part of them, Hell Is Out Here, like, he makes really good production. A lot of people do, but, you know, Bracy makes good production. But yeah, just stuff that doesn't sound typical.
It's like a 3-part question, right? What's your process?
What's your
What
process?
beats? Who you collab?
Yeah.
Well, in terms of who I choose to collab with, on some level, everybody in here, I've either collabed with them on the show, been in their music video, been in a track with them. And for some reason, when the first time you asked that question, I thought of, well, I don't take a picture with everybody. I don't go out in public with everybody. And I thought about the same thing in terms of artists that I choose to collab with. And I think it all goes back to authenticism. If I can't relate with you on a spiritual level, if I can't connect with you with your message, and it's not always the same type of message. Like, you know, like Rocky said, she has a different genre of music or different messages, and me and Dom was in a video called Click, and we got guns all through the video. You know, but I rock with her music, I rock with her image, I rock with what she represents. And Mrs. Shoot 'Em Down, same thing, like empowering Black women. So no matter if I'm in a video where I'm uplifting sexuality, or I'm getting militant, or I'm like, come on, women, stand up. If I can vibe with the artist and their music and who they are, then I can get with it. I might not hop on a track with Short, no matter how Bay Area he is. I don't agree with his consistent message. Never have. Now, have I slapped some old school Short in my car? Yeah. And you could call that a contradiction. But what I do in my car is not always the same thing I do out in mass, like in the mass view of media or the community. And I don't want that type of message pushing, because people are gonna see that more. You get what I'm saying? So that's my phone. Proud family, sorry. So in terms of who I choose to collab with, I usually collab with artists that are similar to me. And what I learned about greatness is aspire to be great and surround yourself with people who are in positions that you want to be or you feel like you can learn from. So some people might know me more as a spoken word artist than an MC. So they're in places that I want to be in, so I'll collab with them because I'm trying to learn and I'm trying to get on a field that can get me somewhere closer to my goals. In terms of writing process, I talk about this a lot. Throughout my life, not so much more as an adult, I struggled with dyslexia. So from a kid, anything from an essay to a poem, I always wrote it out and I always retained things really easily. So I could probably verbatim like regurgitate most of what everybody has said today, because that's just how I've learned to process things. So in terms of music, it's similar to Talia's process. I'd be like rapping, I'd be like, okay, yeah, I like that, dope, write it down. Write it down, you know. And beats, I always just fill out what I feel like the beat is trying to say to me. You know, what am I getting from this? And then I'll try to recreate that with my words, because the music is a vibration, right? And so I'll try to make sure that my words have the same vibration as the beat.
Okay. Thank you.
I love this question. Sorry, y'all. Well, the first thought that popped into my mind is that I started taking myself seriously as an MC or a young rapper at 17. And I think I was just scared, but also had a hard time. I think that this happens sometimes within the context of patriarchy or sexism, where like women are already doing the thing, but we don't acknowledge it. So like, I remember being 11 and listening to the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, and I never thought once, oh, she's a rapper, because at that time that wasn't how they were marketing her. But she was clearly, she was clearly rapping. I'm very passionate. She was clearly rapping, but because of my own internalized sexism as a young girl, something about it wouldn't land in my mind, you know? Yeah. So saying that, I mean to say, when I first started rapping, it's not like I had access to a lot of beats. You know, being young, as Rocky said, you know, if dudes were offering beats, oftentimes it was not really beats, it was beats. And you like, no, I want to do music, like, you know. So I do remember being young and just pretty much whatever people gave me. I was just so excited to have a beat to write to. This is before like you could download beats from YouTube. I didn't have a computer, you know. So I think that only in recent times I've actually become more mindful of what I choose and like, okay, 10 years from now, is this gonna still be something that I want to represent me? Is it still gonna be a beautiful piece of work, or is it just hella 808 and like you can't even hear the music? So now I definitely, I think of it that way, and I also have a faith in myself that I know my music and is gonna go really far, and so I also am like, do I wanna share my wealth with this person who I'm producing with? So I have to make sure, like, if the producer is shady, I don't know if I want you getting all them royalties off me 10 years from now. So there's that, But if I hear it and I like it, I'll do it. It doesn't matter if it doesn't even have, it could be classical music. Like, I don't care. If it moves me, I'm gonna get on it. And as far as the writing process, I've been writing in my journal since I was like 10. So I started as a writer, even though I have a memory of being young and being in the backseat singing, and my brother being like, "Mom, she's not even rhyming." And she was like, "Shut up, let that girl sing," or whatever. So I always remember just like singing to myself. But I mostly, when I started rhyming, would write by myself in my room in a book. And then I had a mentor at 17 who like was like, "Oh, give me your pen, give me your book." And I was like, "Why?" And they were like, "All right, write your verse." And I was like, I literally cried. I threw a fit. They were like, "No, just write it." But now it's amazing because I usually do my writing in the car. I'm driving to work, I'm on a road trip, wherever. And now that's my spot. Like, I'll go drive to some little, little cut. I can't tell y'all my spots. But, turn the beat up loud and just ride in my car or drive around. There's something about the multitasking that stimulates my mind. So that's that. Oh, my bad.
I want to answer this one too. I think we probably all do. Yeah, that's interesting. I'm glad we got this question too. Lately, what's been really important to me is like kind of building with a team like of musicians and just being fascinated with like learning from all the different instruments and like that musical process and trying to like go on this journey to really discover what my voice is and exploring that, through singing and through different things. So that's really important to me to have people that that you're loyal with or that you can trust, so you can open up like about those deeper feelings. And same thing, like if you're feeling out the beginning, whatever the root of the song is, if it's like a chord progression or if it's a beat that's you already have, like figuring out what emotion that sparks in you and then really diving deeper into that emotion and everything that has. So like you need a place where you're safe to do that, and with people that you could really trust to like be critical of you and like further probe you and further like push you on that. So like my last project that I just finished is like a lot of that. It's a lot of like kind of more live music, more singing. So then after that, I just got super hungry to like go back to like lyrical things. So then I just started I'm working on a mixtape, so I just started grabbing tons of like hot beats that I heard everywhere now. And then that's more of an individual process where I just go home and write by myself. And that's back to kind of my old ways of how I used to do it more. So I think it's important to like build as a group and also have your individual expression time where you can just really dive deep into that alone time is so precious too. So yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, my creative writing process. I'm an avid reader, and so whenever I'm reading, I feel like I'm in whatever the scene is in the book. If I'm reading Octavia Butler, like I'm in the woods with the chicken Wild Seed, and I'm trying to get away from Doro, and So when I'm writing, I'm in the book, but the book isn't written yet. And I'm trying to open myself up to be a vessel to whatever message is supposed to come. So a lot of times I'll just write, and as I'm writing, I'll be like, what the heck are you talking about? But I'll just let it come, like whatever is supposed to come. And I've gotten some of my best work from doing things that I didn't think I would write about from that. I choose who I collaborate with by thinking about, how is this person better than me? And like, in what way is this person better than me? They don't have to be like in every way better than me, but like what component of their artistry is further along than mine, and what can I ascertain from them? So like, Talia is a great freestyler, and I suck. So Talia was my freestyle coach for a while because I wanted to get better as a freestyler, and I did get better. And I think, for you to be a teacher, you have to be a learner. And so I really collaborate with people who will help me become a better teacher by being a student of them. As far as beats are concerned, I'm trying to get out of this, but I tend to find producers who who resonate with the sound that I'm trying to get, and then just really stick with that person and like build a sound with that person. So for a while, I worked with Will Bracey, and we created some really good sounds together. And right now, I'm working with Calvin Harris a lot. I also make my own beats, and I have a band, so there's the live element as well. I just think that I like for my music to sound consistent, and so I feel like if I have a lot of hands in the pot, then it can tend to sound disjointed. So I try to find a couple people for the sound that I'm trying to create and stick with those people during that process.
Clap, clap. I'll try to be brief because I know I've got to go to the next question. But I was thinking about, I started off like really reclaiming myself as an MC through collaboration because I was in a hip hop group with another girl named Hollis Wongware. Shout out to her. That's my girl, my best friend to this day. And so it actually took a little while to think about myself as a solo artist because I thought about rapping through the medium of friendship and through collaboration. So that's something that I still like. I need a collaboration in some capacity when I'm creating. So yeah, our group is called Canary Sing, and we're kind of like, you know, Bikini Kill, but like hip hop. So it was really dope. We're hella feminists and stuff. So that was really fun. So now when I'm this past few years, ever since I moved to Oakland, which is about 5 years ago, just trying to discover who I am as a solo artist. And so that's kind of been an interesting experience. And one of the things I figured out when it comes to like finding a sound was looking for a reggae sound because just going to Jamaica and like just understanding, because I feel like hip hop is knowledge of self, and as somebody that has Jamaican ancestry, I was like, that's where I feel comfortable when I perform with a reggae beat. I feel comfortable. I feel like I'm being myself, and I feel like I'm being my authentic self. So that was something that I hold on to. Whoop whoop. So yeah, that's something that I think about when I'm looking for beats. I always want to have like a reggae element, but that's not something that I have to do at the same time. So. And then last thing I want to say is one of the things that I've realized in the past year actually is that I'm very, very inspired by visuals. That we tend to forget as MCs that, you know, this is a, you know, culture, right? So being engaged in other elements really can help your creative process. So for me, I kick it with actually pretty much all graffiti writers. And I go and I look at the murals and the mission, and I go and I look and sometimes I doodle, and that really helps me with my writing because somehow that visual element, I think it's because both of my parents were visual artists or something. I don't know exactly what it is, but you have to find that for yourself as an artist. Think about what draws inspiration to you. So yeah.
Thank you. Those are all very profound answers. Being that we're a little short on time, I want to skip a couple of questions, and I want to ask this one question. It is referring to us as young people. What are some, and this is also with the help of Rocky Rivera helping me construct this question, what are some common gripes about performing for some youth that may experience this as artists later on, and can you give them one piece of advice on how to overcome assumptions and to be taken seriously in anything that we aspire to achieve?
Ooh, can I speak on that real quick?
Yes.
Because that's something that I've really been thinking about, and I've even talked and built with some other women on a panel about this, that in the Bay Area, we're really lucky because, as you can see, there's this influx of talent, so many talented artists. And I think that sometimes people that are curating or people, especially if it's like some kind of event that's like, you know, to fundraise or, you know, something like that, people will come to you and won't even like expect to want to pay you. That doesn't even come onto the table. And it's really upsetting because all of us are working. We're not just working, we're grinding. And even when you're a beginning artist, I would say that's something that I've learned now, but I want to tell young people that are beginning artists to get paid for your time, because it takes a lot of time. It takes practice. It takes the time that you have to get there. It takes the time that you have to like get your DJ there, all the different things, the components that go into you performing, you deserve some type of compensation for that performance. And so, and then at the same time too, it's also about being a businesswoman. It's about thinking, okay, well, you know what? I do want to do free shows. I do want to do this fundraiser. So maybe do one a month. You know, it depends on your schedule, but really make sure that you're planning that out. So that was one of the that's the word, that I have. And then the second thing is this whole idea of, hey, I want you to perform. Because we're looking for more female MCs, so can you perform? And to me, that is so disrespectful, because it's like, wait a second, have you even looked up my music? Have you even looked up my work? Like, do you know anything about me as a person? Or are you just asking me to be on the set because I have a vagina, basically? That's what you're asking me. That's hella rude, you know what I mean? And I think people don't mean to be rude by that, and I think that people have good intentions behind that, but it's something that is really problematic, because it comes from the assumption that there's scarcity. That there's a scarcity of women in hip hop, which is not true. First of all, there is women are on all facets of hip hop. Maybe you don't see them, right? But they're making sure your favorite artist that's on stage, best believe that a woman had to do with the fact that that person is on stage. The festivals you go to, women are involved in those festivals. So this scarcity concept really needs to, get pushed back from. So I want to hear what other women have to say about that too.
I would say, to just continue on the same thread that Maddie was talking about, don't come from a place of lack. Like, there's an abundance of opportunities, and I think sometimes as a young person you can just feel like, if I say no to this, there's nothing else for me. But don't be afraid to say no to something that's not up to your standard. You have to set your standard for what your personal brand is as an artist. Is this in alignment with what I want to be creating and putting out there for myself? And not every event is for you. So understand that, and understand that just because you say no to one thing doesn't mean that 10 other things aren't waiting for you that are right for you. And I would also say that be prepared. I think that in the Bay in particular, I've seen that people are very talented, but they never think about the business side of things. And they never think about how they're going to present themselves as an artist. So you can have your SoundCloud, that's great. Do you have a bio? Do you have a website? Is your website updated? Do you have templates of contracts for performances and what you're going to do? Even if you don't have somebody representing you, have you looked up the standard artist rate for certain events, for festivals? If somebody's reaching out to you for a festival, what's the standard rate for that particular festival and then that genre of festivals overall? And so if you're not doing your research, then you're probably getting got as an artist when you could be getting a lot more money and a lot more opportunity. So it's a hybrid thing when you're an independent artist. You have to really hone your artistry, but also really sharpen your business mind and your business acumen around what you want to do, because you are a business. You're a walking, talking business.
Nice. I need to hear that advice. To me, something that's advice I would give would be advice that I just got the other night. Actually, was to walk in faith. Like, that we always have doubt. At least I'll speak for myself. Like, there's doubts, there's different things coming from different places, but walking in faith of like whatever is your path it is, and like trying to fully embody that. Like, it's been a journey just to try to do that, but that can help you like actually try to better yourself and grow yourself, so you can like plant those seeds for other people's happiness. Because I feel like if you're doing that, if you're encouraging people around you and for their happiness, like, it's gonna come back, because that's like the spiritual realm that we're trying to build, right? Is like giving birth to something new that's sacred, and like holding it sacred and putting something out there that we can treasure in a certain way, I guess, either like through our own craft or just through the energy that we want to create with people and stuff. So that's and also just to echo, like, jumping into different sides of it too. Like, I'm starting to get more into like helping on the video side. Like, I like helping I want to help produce other people's videos, do stuff like that, like trying to get it from as many angles as you can so you can like understand it better, and just it's just fun getting into the art like from many different sides. So that'd be my
I think one of the things I would say is to be very aware of the difference between constructive criticism and a hater on the low. And because you don't want to be so defensive that you're not taking in any feedback. You're gonna have people around you who you know love you and want the best. And sometimes those are the people who are gonna tell you like, no, do it again. Like I remember when Dom and I would work it, I'd be like, this is so great. I just whipped this up 5 minutes ago, let's do it. She's like, no, no, Coco. And it was like, man, I don't wanna hear that right now, but guess what? The harmonies are on point now, right? So you have to have people around you who are gonna tell you no, and you're gonna come back, what about this? And they're gonna be like, no, go back. But then you also wanna be careful for people who maybe not on purpose, but for whatever reason are shooting something down, no pun intended, that is maybe that they haven't become courageous enough in themselves to talk about what you're talking about, or their vision is like narrow and you're trying to talk about something outside of it. And so kind of off of what Dom was saying, with opportunities and not worrying, like, it's not for me. It could be, Timbaland could tell you like, nah, don't nobody wanna hear that shit. You can't rap about that. Tim is not for you then. If you know deep down in you that this is truly your authentic voice and your authentic message. So I think that's something that I've been faced with, but I also see where brilliant, genius MCs can find themselves because producers or other people in their crew are like, yeah, that's that shit. But you know that they're dumbing it down. So, and back to what Hayes was saying as far as walking on faith, like knowing that if you were put on this earth to rap and to spread your message, it might take you 3 more years than the person who's going with whatever the status quo is. But if you were put here for that, there's literally nothing that could stop you except for you. So you have to really stay true to that. So.
Shout out to the Bay Area folks that's in here, Jasiri ID, Diana Mike. I see community stepping in, so I just want to acknowledge folks that's in the building. I would say stay consistent, and that's kind of the message that's happened. But when I say stay consistent, is know your craft through and through. Know your material. A lot of people like don't rehearse anymore. They like, I'm so dope. I get up here, I spit it whenever. I know my material so well. If I'm caught up in a moment and I forget a verse, I can pull from another verse and make it ride the beat. Like that's how much I know my own work. So know your own work through and through, but not just knowing your own work, know the craft, right? I had a conversation with Dom recently, and even I had the same conversation with Dom when I first started wanting to rap. She was like, well, study like folks that you like. Study people that sound like you. Study folks that don't sound like you. Just study people. And we usually learn that in terms of school. We usually learn that in terms of everything else, but not music. And it's really important to know the elements. If you calling yourself a hip hop artist and somebody say, well, what are the elements of hip hop? And you can only name the DJ and rapping, then there's a problem. Because there's so many other elements. If people say, well, what are some of the godmothers of hip hop, and you can only say Queen Latifah and MC Lyte, then there's a problem, right? So know your knowledge, know your stuff. And the other piece I would say is protecting your craft, right? So what Coco said, like in terms of not letting other people sway you from what you feel concrete about. So stay consistent. Keep on rehearsing, know your work through and through, protect your craft and protect yourself. So even if you do, I'm not the same artist I was 7 years ago. When I started as a poet, I was rapping about my experiences with group homes and foster homes. I'm 26, I'm not 14 anymore, so I can't talk about group homes and foster homes. A lot of people on this panel started with Youth Speaks, YMR, Youth Movement Records, if folks know that, Bump, Black Lion Crew. Like, so I'm naming like old school youth organizations. And I don't mean to date nobody, but these folks were our teachers, right? And so to be up here with the teacher also says something. Because they're still mastering their craft, and on some level mastery's at their craft. And so for us to be like some of you guys and now be up there with us, you know, and have the respect of now peers, it means something. It says something about how we push our art. And so my other advice is, when you come through youth radio and different organizations, be careful not to become the poster child for these organizations. No disrespect to youth radio or any other place, but after a while, I had to find out what it looked like to be outside of Youth Speaks, what it looked like to be outside of YMR. Sometimes we get comfortable in these organizations. They carry us, right? So don't allow yourself to become enabled. Do not enable your own greatness. Push the envelope. Branch out. Then you'll watch these organizations call you back on a different level. Like, can we contract you to teach? We want to book you for a show, but we don't want to book you for free. We want you to organize the show. We want you to moderate. And then you have to do what Dom and what MADlines said. Well, what does it mean to moderate? What's the fee? All right, I want you guys to pay me a G, $1,000 for folks that doesn't know the G. I want you to pay me a G to do this 20-minute moderation. And the value will speak within your work.
By show of hands, how many people in here are rappers, singers, or producers? Okay, keep your hands up if your goal is to be famous. For real? So what y'all trying to do? So what are you guys trying to, so just shout it out. So for the people whose hands went down, what do you want to do with your craft? Just shout it out. Take over the world. Okay, take over the world. Do what? Rather be rich than famous, and you said master it? Okay, I like whoever said that. Work. Make your family proud. Share it with the youth. Okay.
Get my voice heard.
Get your voice heard. Save lives. Okay. These are all good responses, and I want to just say, listen to everything that they said. So in addition to what they said, I just want to remind you all that one day you will have to pay bills, okay? I just want us to be clear, because I really want to speak to the people whose goal is not to get famous or not to do this for the money. Because if that's what your goal is, don't expect to make money, all right? Be prepared to get a full-time job. And be okay with that. Now, for the people who want to make money off of your music, think about all the different avenues that there are, right? So you can think YouTube is a huge platform right now, and there's YouTube channels out there that are taking music submissions, and you might want to talk to some of these women about how you can get paid off of getting publishing rights for your music, so that when you submit it to anyone who wants to publicize it or market it or put it through their networks and through their channels, you can get a percentage of that, so that you don't have to just rely on your 9-to-5, right? So you can also think about syncing your music, which is very similar, getting it published, and that publishing company can send it to TV shows or corporations who want to use their music for commercials. Now, whatever your politics are, you can have those politics. You can also make money within your politics. That's a whole nother conversation. So the fame, whatever route you want to go to do that, go ahead and study the different paths that people have taken. Like Jazz said, part of it is studying the craft, and the other part is, like Dom said, is studying the business. So if you're a producer, how did Timbaland get to where he got? Or who else? How did Babyface get to where he got? Jimmy J and Tammy Terrell, how did they get to where, like, people who have longevity, whose names we actually don't know about, are the people who have been in the game for years, and they are sustaining themselves, and they're people that we don't even hear about. You have to research. The producers who backed up Busta Rhymes, the songs, what is it? It's one of my favorite songs, and it was on the single Show Me
What You Got?
Not Show Me What You
Oh.
Put Your Hands Where My Eyes Can See, and it was the flip song of that. Everything Remains Raw. I don't know if you guys know that song, but the producer of that was so bad. Notorious. I mean, these are people who have made hits. Study them. Definitely study them in the path that they took to get where they got. It may not mean, like someone said in the back, it may not mean fame, but it can mean income. Which one do you want? You know what I'm saying? Especially if you want to sustain yourself as a human being and as an artist. So for the people who want to save lives, you go ahead and do that and think about how to financially sustain yourself as well. So that's the main thing that I want to contribute. Study the people who, like they said, who you want to be like, or who are at least financially in that path. Really, really study them. Really study them. Oh, wait, question. And for everyone who had their hand up, how many of y'all had music classes at school? Okay, we're competing with people who are taking like from K to 12 to college, Berkeley students, not UC Berkeley, but Berkeley College of Music. Like, we're all in competition with people who have formal training. Yeah. So even, especially as producers, I speak to the producers, spend time studying music theory. You can teach yourself all this stuff. Even though we're in competition with people who've been formally trained, you can straight up teach yourself in your spare time. Use the internet, YouTube videos, just spend an hour a day learning how to reproduce a drum kit that was made by one of your favorite artists, right? It'll make your, it's I don't even know how to say it in words, but it'll make your craft rich. It'll make you more marketable. It'll make you more competitive because we are competing. All right, that was like 8 hands, if that. Clap me. All right, thank you.
I'm at a loss for words, and I'm not usually at a loss for words because I like to fill up space and stuff, but I'm really amazed by how really insightful these women are and what they're saying and their different experiences, and it really saddens me that that there aren't too many spaces that think that this is something that people want to hear. And so one of my gripes is, like something that Maddie said was like, hey, we're going to have a festival at the lake. We're going to have a festival. We got our one female MC. She going on at 11 a.m. People ain't even had their damn coffee yet. Okay? I wanted to do that's a journalist in me, right? I wanted to do a whole series of infographics of how many female MCs are on a bill and what time do they go on, right? Are they going on at the same time as somebody else on another stage that people would rather go to? It's hella whack, right? So sometimes I don't even want to play that game, right? I don't care. I don't need none of that. I don't need those bills. I don't need that. But at the same time, I'm like sitting back like, yo, this is really whack. Like the fact that we have to really raise hell, that we have to say that we're not a quota that you need to fill. Like, I don't even like being on all female MC bills. Like, it's like, how do you even know that, like, we even vibe with each other, Like, don't marginalize us. Don't ghettoize us. Don't say that this is the ladies' night. Fuck all that shit. Like, seriously, like, a lot of these MCs on stage, bar for bar, line for line, will ether any of these male MCs that are out there. But there's this misconception that if you have your choice female MC for that year, that you're done. You're not done, okay? And it's whack, and it's been happening for women artists in every medium, whether it's in fine art, whether it's in screenwriting, whether it's at the Academy Awards. Like, don't ghettoize us, you know what I mean? And a lot of times, a lot of young women internalize that, and we limit ourselves, and we say, like even I say, I've been doing this for a minute, and I couldn't do this in high school. You didn't want to hear the stuff that I would have wrote in high school. It was kind of ignorant, so. But, it still is a little bit, but it's controlled. But, I feel like I don't want to say, oh, I got 2 more years, so I got to pop out another baby, then I can go on tour. Like, no, I'm bring my baby on tour. We're going to do this together, Like, I don't want to limit myself, but sometimes there is that inner voice that you're talking about that's like, how many more years I got till this is done? There aren't any women Jay-Z's out there, right? I mean, Lauryn Hill, she ain't who we thought she was. She ain't who she used to be. I don't know if the industry did that to her, but I want to find the people that are going to lift me up. It's not fair. It's not fair that there's all these male rappers that are going on for like 20 years and have some janky albums for the past 15 years, but you know, that we have to limit ourselves and say, how many kids do I have to choose between building my family and going on tour? And, you know, I know a lot of young women MCs, for example, Reverie and Gavlin and my girl Blimey, they've been hitting up Europe, right? They've been hitting up Europe touring. I'm so freaking proud. You know, don't ever put a limit to how long you want to be an artist. You're going to be an artist till the day you die. Like, it may be garbage to other people when you're 89, but at the end of the day, it's like, don't ever limit yourself to say, especially as a woman, you know, thinking of Women's History Month, that, you know, look at Frida Kahlo, right? She didn't even get more popular than her husband until she was dead and gone, right? They say that a woman artist is going to be famous when she turns 80, when people finally catch up to her, right? It's not fair. It's not fair to the artists that are standing and sitting right in front of you right now. If you appreciate their work, go up to them, go to their show, go on their page, download their music while they're still here. Don't wait till they're gone. Don't wait, because you got us here right now. Any one of y'all can ask us questions, right? And so I just really want to big up everybody up here and engage with us. You know, we talk to you we don't have thousands of followers on Instagram. We don't want thousands of followers on Instagram because we have to be on some hoe shit, you know? And that's why we choose not to be on some hoe shit. You know, not that hoe shit is bad, because sex workers need love too. Shit. But I don't even know how I got to this topic.
Can I add something really quick?
Yes, you can.
Follow us.
That's follow us. First
follow
name,
us.
last name.com.info. Rocky touched on something that was really, really important. It was actually one of the questions. I'm 26. My son will be 8 next month. And anybody that knows me always says, where's Nassar? How is Nassar? Because they see him with me. I've kept him with me. When I was like 9 months pregnant, I was on final stage, sold out opera house, spitting the last line. When he was 3 months old, he was drinking Henny in a sling while slamming at Sacramento State. You know, I was in Ghana with him. I just left DC speaking at the Capitol, invited by Barbara Lee with my son. So it doesn't stop. And I work at Youth Uprising, so I see teenage fathers and mothers day in, day out. Push the music, push whatever you do. There is no separation. I work 45 hours a week at my 9-to-5 job, and then I go home, and sometimes I'm at work and I'm still a full-time mother, and I'm a full-time artist, I'm a full-time friend, I'm a full-time sister. There's no separation. So don't make people feel like you gotta do one. And I'm only speaking to something that I know, because for a minute it was like, damn, Jazz, we don't see you at shows no more. Where you been? I was like, oh, I'm being a mom. I gotta be a mom. And at the beginning of the day, the most revolutionary thing I know how to do is raise my son. So that does become at the forefront. He's never back burner to my art, but because it's important to me, just like him, it's a part of my life. Like when y'all was in kindergarten painting a picture, everybody was artists. Your teacher said, oh, he's such a good artist. Not you're such a good kindergartner artist or male artist or female artist. You're an artist. Me teaching and working with young people, that's an art. Some people can't even hold a conversation with young people. You know what I'm saying? You walking down the street, some men walk down the street like work of art. So it's really, if you want to be philosophical with it, if you want to be literal with it, whatever, however you want to take it. But there is no separation. And that's the grind of living. And it's stressful. And you need to break away sometimes. But just know that each thing you pick up is a part of building your legacy. And you get to choose what you want to evolve from that.
I would like to thank every single one of you on this stage for just speaking from your heart. We don't get a lot of that, and to be a part of this is a true honor, and to have everybody here witnessing this and, you know, getting this knowledge. This is really important knowledge that I've gained from them personally. That's it's going to be important forever, and you're going to need it in the future. So I just want to thank all of you for being here and giving us that knowledge. And I really hope all of my peers here, you know, from the neighborhood, from youth radio, from the community, really take this knowledge seriously. Don't look at them as just women and not take that advice. Take that advice seriously because they've been through a lot. They've been through a lot to learn that. And to be able to teach us this here tonight, that means that you care. So continue to care and continue to push and continue to work hard and make sure you succeed every single goal that you create for yourself. Can we give a round of applause for our lovely panelists?
Cheyenne, where can we find your music?
You can find my music on soundcloud.com/Cheyenne-G. That's SHYAN-G. Have my bio, got my music. I'm working on a mixtape that's going to be released later on this year, 2015. And yeah.
Yo, Cheyenne.
Yes.
We got a question for you. Are you ready?
Okay, yes.
Yes. Because you say you've taken a lot of our advice, right?
Yes.
All right. Can you bust a verse for us? What? Come on, G. Hey.
Okay. Well, we're kind of on a time constraint, but because you asked me so nicely,
Whoop whoop.
it can't be a freestyle though because I'm so like lost right now.
Man,
Okay.
whatever you want.
Okay. Okay. Hoping for a positive premonition, wisdom, teeth, and pain from chumping. Oh, it ain't easily bitten. Went up to outer space to find all those shooting stars. Told them I could handle it and took back all my wishes. Some people think you gotta go beyond the distance, but I did it with my eyes closed cause dreams ease its missions. But I never said all of that happens in an instance. I still experience moments when I'm stuck in tunnel vision. Still think I haven't gotten the grip, but I can dribble and throw with the hand that I don't write with. So don't count the days you see me with nothing new. Writer's block is just tons of gathered blocks full of magician-ish. I'm like the ink in my book smoothly drifting, and the verbal imagery forms invisible freedom prisms. Now you wonder why cell builders worry about their momentum slipping. You just heard the movement of a defense mechanism.
Hey, Shy G.
Thank you all again. I really appreciate it. This has been the most comfortable experience ever. This is my first time ever moderating this panel, and for it to be so hilarious and thought-provoking and emotional and just so many things, I just want to thank you again.